of course, on KBOG in Bandon. Right now, I'm proud to have somebody on the phone who I've looked at as a hero for a many number of years, and I know lots of the listeners feel the same. He played guitar with the Plasmatics on just about everything they ever did. He played on all the Wendy O. Williams stuff, played with tons of tours with both bands, and he's still around to tell the tale. The legendary WES Beech joining us on the phones. Hey, brother.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Better now that you're here.
All right.
Are you still in Michigan, bro?
Oh, yeah. Yep, still out here.
Nice. I know we talked, I guess it's been a couple of years ago, and it was a real fun chat. And since then, you were telling me that you had jammed, I think, with Cherie Curie. There was some kind of Wendy O tribute somewhere. What was the details of that?
It was for the Rochester, New York Rock Hall of Fame, and they inducted Wendy because she's originally from Rochester, New York. So they inducted her, and Cherie came out, and she sang. She did Butcher Baby and the Damned with us.
Wow.
With me and T.C. Tolliver, drummer from the Plasmatics, and it was really cool.
Yeah, you know, T.C.'s been on the show before, and he's such a great guy and a great drummer.
Yes, oh, he's fantastic, yep. Mm-hmm.
You know, he's got such style, too. That guy is cool.
He is, yep. Uh-huh.
He's still got it, man, and I bet that was one heck of a show. Was there a nice crowd for that?
It was a good crowd. It was kind of fun. I mean, it was at the Eastman School of Music in Rochester, and it was funny because the crowd was mostly older people in suits and ties and tuxedos and formal wear. And then we closed the show, and we came out, and I just think people's mouths were open by the time we were finished playing.
Man, I wish I could have been there. When exactly was that?
That was in April of 2016.
Okay, yeah, we might have touched on that before, but I don't think we got into a lot of details. Were there any members of Wendy's family at that event?
I don't think there was anybody from her family there. Might have been a cousin was there, maybe.
Okay.
But I know she still has a sister. Her sister was living out west somewhere. She wasn't there.
Boy, I wish I could go back in my time machine and go to that gig.
Yeah, it was something. We did like 4 songs. We had it was me and TC from the Plasmatics, of course, and then they had another local girl named Liz who was in a band called the Cheetah Horse, and she sang 2 songs with us, and then they had a local bass player and an extra guitar player. And then Cherie came in and sang her songs, and it was really cool. It was great to play with Cherie. I mean, I've always admired her. I think she has a great voice, and she really killed the songs.
Yeah, she was a guest recently on here. I just have to give it up. I'm such a fan of you guys, and boy, to be talking to, the Runaways and the Plasmatics, I'm not worthy. Hey man, you were telling me off the air that the touring bass player from the Wendy O. Williams Wow Tour, Greg Smith, has been playing with Nugent for a number of years, and he played with a lot of other pretty big names.
Oh, yes. After he left the Plasmatics, he went and played with Alice Cooper on the Hey Stupid tour. Did a couple albums with him, and then he played with Rainbow on their last tour. And he played with Ted Nugent. He's been playing with him for about the last 12 years now.
Wow. I remember the time I did acid and saw Nugent on the Scream Dream tour, and he came out with a loincloth and swinging out on a rope. I thought, man, this is rock and roll to the nth degree, man.
Yeah, he's not wearing that loincloth anymore, but he's still a hell of a guitar player. Oh,
yeah, no doubt about it. No matter what Ted gets up to, you can't take away his music skills, man, not at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's for sure.
What are you doing with yourself these days? I know that with the COVID, so many people have a different lifestyle. What is WES Beech doing these days?
Well, something you probably wouldn't expect, and I've actually been doing it for the last couple of years. I mean, here I was in the biggest, probably anti-establishment band of all time, and now I'm a government employee. I work for the post office.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I did not know that, but it's still honorable. I use the mail every day, man, and most of us do. So that's really not a very dishonorable job, man.
No, it's kind of crazy though. With the COVID hitting everybody, we're really short staffed, and it's tough. It's tough right now. And then of course, still play the guitar every chance I get. Keep the fingers going, and still write songs and. try and keep active.
Let me ask you this. When was the last time you played a full gig?
Well, that show with Cherie was the last time I played.
Okay. Do you miss playing on a regular basis?
Sometimes. Sometimes I really miss it a lot. Sometimes not so much,
Yeah. You've done so much.
But I do miss, the camaraderie, and I do miss the fans. I do miss getting out there and just turning it up and cranking it out.
Do you hear from many Plasmatics fans, like through the internet and stuff like that?
Oh, yes, all the time, because I still help administer the Plasmatics.com website, and we sell, T-shirts and merchandise and music and posters and records, things like that.
Hey, I want to say thanks again, man. I ordered a bunch of stuff recently from that website, and you were kind enough to sign the copies for me, which makes it, way more valuable and cool. So thanks for doing that for me.
Oh, no problem. Anytime. And anybody else out there that wants any autographs or anything, just put that in the comment section, and I'd be happy to do it for them.
Think about that, guys. Christmas is coming. You could give your best friend or a lover like a Plasmatics item signed by WES Beech. That'd be cool. That'd be a great idea. Hey, I'm just thinking outside the box, man. You can do what you want to do, but take it from me. That's what I did. Can we ask you this? I don't think I've ever asked you this. Maybe I have. What is your favorite Plasmatics song, and what is your favorite Plasmatics album?
My favorite album is probably the Coup d'Etat album, because that's the first album that I started to play lead guitar on, and I did a lot more of the guitar work on that album.
Yeah, sometimes
we recorded that over in Germany with Dieter Dirks, who was a producer of all the Scorpions albums. So that was a really, really cool experience, and really enjoyed that album. And then as far as my favorite song, I always liked Propagators or Destroyer.
Nice. So on Coup d'Etat, did you and Richie Stouts both trade off on lead, or did you play more lead than he did on that album?
I think we were probably evenly divided on that album.
Nice.
As far as lead goes, I played most of the rhythm guitar on that album.
I'll tell you what, I know the album got plenty of fans, and you guys, toured and all that, and I got to witness that stuff live, but that's probably one of the more underrated punk/metal albums of all time. It's just a total masterpiece, in my opinion.
Oh, thank you. We spent a lot of time on that record. I mean, that was like going to the school of rock and roll. Originally, we recorded that album with Dan Hartman producing, and we recorded it at Electric Ladyland Studios.
Oh, from Montrose.
Right. Because he was a fan of the band, and he came and produced Metal Priestess. He contacted Rod, and he really liked the Beyond the Valley 1984 album. So he contacted Rod, and he wanted to produce the next record for us, and he came in and produced Metal Priestess, and then after that, we were working on the songs for Coup d'Etat. He produced some of that for us, and they took the demo over to Capitol Records, and they said they liked it, but they wanted something a little better, so they suggested Dieter Dirks to produce the record, so they kind of shelved the Dan Hartman material, but we later re-released it as Coup de Grace.
Well, that's right, you did.
If you listen to that and then listen to Coup d'Etat, you can kind of hear the difference. With the Dan Hartman recordings, it was a little punkier, and then with Dieter Dirks, he polished it up and made it a little more metal, so that's kind of where we made that transition from punk more into the heavy metal sound.
Yeah, exactly. I remember that, man. It was a trippy deal, but boy, you guys pulled it off, man. And Metal Priestess is also another really legendary EP, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that had some really good tunes on there.
Wow. Yeah, I remember years ago, my old band did a cover of the Doom song because there was supposed to have been a Windio or a Plasmatics tribute, which didn't work out. But boy, I wish that would have.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did get a lot of good response from the fans. I think the problem was just the funds weren't there to put that out in a proper fashion.
I wonder if there's any way to contact Rod and to work with him to get some money raised to maybe get that to happen, because I bet you there's enough fans out there that would kick in to have that go down and get an autographed copy from WES Beech perhaps when it's done or something,
Yeah.
Trying to sell your music. But it'd be so cool, because Wendy deserves it, man,
Mm-hmm. Yep, she sure does.
I found out something interesting about you when we were conversing a couple of weeks ago. I found out that you're on the side, and I guess kind of quietly, a Bay City Rollers fan like myself.
Oh, yes. I always liked the Bay City Rollers.
That's really interesting. Did you see those guys live ever, or get to meet any of them?
I never got to meet them. I did get to see them live in one of their later incarnations when Duncan was singing with them, and I'll tell you, they were absolutely amazing. And I actually was supposed to see them right before or just after this pandemic hit. I was going to go see them perform live out here at a club, and they canceled. That was one of the first shows they canceled.
Bummer, man. I
was kind of disappointed about that.
I wonder if it was Woody or Les's band.
I'm not sure. I tried to look up online to see who it was, but didn't really say.
Well, Leslie goes under the legendary Bay City Rollers, and Woody goes under Next Generation Bay City Rollers.
No, this was just the Bay City Rollers. But the picture they had on the website of the club was I didn't recognize any of them, so who knows who it was?
Exactly.
Could have just been a faux Bay City Rollers. I don't even know.
That's interesting. You mentioned Duncan. He was the third and final vocalist for the Rollers. He was a guest on the show a couple months ago. What a cool guy, man. He's living in Vegas now, and just such a great cat, man.
I tell you, the band was amazing. It was one of the best shows I've seen. A friend of mine's band was opening for them, so that's one of the reasons I went. And I'll tell you, they sounded great.
Well, they did 3 albums with Duncan, and the last and final Rollers album is called Ricochet, and it's really a pop masterpiece. Just a really cool...
Oh, it is, yes. It's a great album.
Okay, I'm preaching to the choir with you, Wes, huh? You know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great record, man. Mine burned in the Alameda fires that happened recently, but I just got my copy on vinyl like a week ago, so I've been really listening to that a lot. You told me, and I hope you don't mind asking, I don't think you will, it's not that big of a deal, but you said one time in the early days of the Plasmatics, you guys, I think, ended up in L.A. on some psychedelic drugs in some weird club. There was a weird story to it. Do you remember that?
Yes. We ended up at the Odyssey Club, and actually it was after we did the Fridays TV show. Some fan hooked up with us, and we happened to take some LSD, and we ended up at the Odyssey nightclub in L.A., which, unknowns to me, was a very famous gay nightclub.
Oh boy, tripping!
And it was kind of weird. We went in, me and Richie went in there, and it was kind of dark on 3 floors, and people were all dressed up, and it was kind of weird. And I really didn't have a clue what was going on. Except I remember going upstairs and seeing the Gladiator movies playing and thinking, what is this? And I remember seeing this girl in a cheerleader's outfit, and I was kind of watching her all night thinking, that's just kind of interesting. And I remember when we left, it was about 6 o'clock in the morning, the sun was coming up. She comes out of the club, I look at her, and I saw the 5 o'clock shadow. I was like, oh, okay.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. But I guess the DJ was a big fan of the Plasmatics, because we went over, and they introduced us to the DJ, and he put on monkey suit and cleared the dance floor. I thought that was pretty funny.
That's so cool. And I do want to interject and let anyone listening know that neither Wes or myself are homophobic. It's a funny story because he was tripping, that's all.
Right. No, absolutely. We had a lot of big fans in the gay community. In fact, early on, when William Friedkin was going to film the movie Cruising, he came to CBGB's to see us play a few times because he wanted us to play in a club scene in the movie.
Wow!
And some of the local gay community came to Rod and said, you know what? Don't play in this movie because this doesn't show the gays in a positive light, and we'd prefer if you didn't do it. So Rod said, okay, and we didn't do it. And they were very happy about that and very supportive of the band, and we've always had a very big gay following. And
well, they ended up using the Germs, I believe, on that soundtrack.
I think they did, yeah. I think they were in the movie. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Darby, of course, came from that community, so he probably figured, hey, this is perfect for me,
Uh-huh. Yeah, I don't know, but
interesting.
We bowed out, and that was that.
So, Wes, back in the day, I know Wendy and Lemmy released a 7-inch called Stand By Your Man, Wendy-O, Lemmy-O. What was your opinion, and how was that when that recording session happened? Any good stories?
Oh, tons! I tell you, that was something. We recorded that up in Canada, in Toronto. I guess to kind of avoid the music union, local music union. So we flew up there, and the idea was that Fast Eddie Clark, the guitar player in Motorhead, was going to produce the album and maybe do a guest solo on it. So on the plane ride up, I'm sitting next to Eddie, and he's telling me about all his guitars, and I can't wait for me to see him, and wait till you see this guitar, it's really nice, if you want you can play it on the track. So I said, okay, that's cool. So we get off the plane, we're in the airport, we go to baggage check to pick up the guitars, and they line up all the guitars in baggage checks. So he says, wait till you see this one. He opens up the guitar case, and it's a bass. And he goes, oh, okay, that's not it, maybe this one over here. So he grabs another case off the rack, puts it down, opens it up, and it's another bass. He goes, oh, no, okay, let's do it. Here's my guitar over here. Here, wait till you see this. This is really nice. Opens it up. It's another bass. He slams the case down, walks away in disgust. They didn't bring any of his guitars. They brought all Lemmy's basses.
Oh, my God. So what happened?
So then the next day we get into the studio, and Lemmy's sitting in the corner, not very good. He's waiting for some speed to come in. So he's kind of jonesing for that. And he's sitting there, and I go, hey, Lemmy, I heard this story that you got your name because you're always going, hey, lend me a quid so I can buy some beans. And he looks at me, he gets really mad. He's like, where'd you hear that story? Where'd you hear that story? So that's what I heard. So he got really mad about that, and he was a mess until he finally got tracked down some speed for him.
And then he was probably cool after that, huh?
Then he was cool, but then, things kind of were deteriorating. They were sitting around. Each one of the guys in Motorhead had a bottle of vodka and a bottle of orange juice, and they're drinking that as we get ready to set up and play and go through the songs. Now, when we were in New York, we were supposed to go through and work on Stand By Your Man, and then we were going to do No Class for Motorhead, and then they were going to play Master Plan. And the idea was we were going to meet a rehearsal studio in New York and go over the songs. So we were in the rehearsal studio waiting for Motorhead to show up. Finally, they show up, and they had just gotten back, I think, from a tour in England. So they were all tired, and they didn't want to rehearse. They were just too out of it to rehearse. So we said, okay, well, we'll work on that when we get to the studio in Canada. So then we get to Canada, we get to the studio. First thing I say, Lemmy, you want to tune up your bass? I had a little guitar tuner. He goes, well, I can't use those things. I said, what do you mean you can't use them? It's simple. It's a little electronic guitar tuner. You just plug in, hit your note, and it shows you if you're in tune. He goes, no, I can't use it. I'll show you. So I plug it in, and he goes, look, and he starts turning the tuning key on his bass really fast. He goes, look, it's not doing anything. Look, it's not doing anything. Keeps turning it, and finally the string snaps, and he walks away.
Wow.
That's like, okay.
A little edgy.
So then we start running through the songs, and he just couldn't get it at all. They didn't really know the songs. They didn't know Stand By Your Man very well. So he couldn't play, and the session was kind of deteriorating and falling apart. Fast Eddie was, he was a mess, and he was having some problems with Motorhead anyway, so he was kind of at odds with Lemmy, and it was just bad. And it got to the point where they didn't even want to do that song. They were trying to do some other songs, and kind of like at the 13th hour, we finally pulled it together, and I kind of arranged Stand By Your Man in kind of like a Sex Pistols kind of version.
It's genius.
Like how would the Sex Pistols played that? So that was kind of the approach I took.
It was really, really good. Wow, I didn't know it was that big of a crazy event, man. Wild.
Oh, it was really wild. It was really wild. So Fast Eddie left in the middle of the sessions, and we just kind of finished it off. I remember we did Master Plan, and it was a little rough, and Lemmy kept saying, well, we'll fix it, and then they never really did end up fixing it. And in the end, Rod Swenson and Dan Hartman came in to produce it and finish polishing up the tracks.
So, did Fast Eddie play on the record at all then?
No, he didn't play, and actually he left. He quit Motorhead during that session.
Wow. And Filthy Animal Taylor played drums on it?
He played drums on it, yeah. He was really good. And then Richie played lead guitar on it.
Yeah, I was always a fan of Filthy Animal's drumming, man. I know he was a big drug and alcohol abuser, but before that, problems took over, boy, was he a hell of a drummer.
Oh, he was a great drummer. I mean, he had a unique style.
Yeah, I just love Motorhead. I saw them on their very first Ace of Spades tour when they opened for Ozzy in Blizzard of Oz with Randy Rhoads, man. It was amazing.
Right. Yeah, we saw that show too. In fact, that's where we met Lemmy. Was at that show.
Wow.
And I remember seeing that show, watching Randy Rhoads play, and I was just so amazed by his playing. I was thinking, like, what the hell am I doing playing guitar? This guy is just incredible.
Wow. Crazy, man. Did Wendy and Lemmy have some kind of thing going on at it for a little while, or no?
Yeah, they did. They did a little bit. Wendy was a big fan of Lemmy's, and of course, Lemmy was a big fan of Wendy.
I wondered. I'd heard that they'd had a sort of little thing, and I thought that's so rock and roll. I just have to ask. I hoped that was true.
So that was a wild session. Unfortunately, they didn't really promote that record as much as it could have been promoted, and
that's crazy, man. What is your favorite Wendy-O solo song and your favorite Wendy-O solo album?
I think that, for me, the Wow album, because I played on that one, and it was just, I think, a real kind of polished, more in a commercial vein. Gene Simmons produced it, and he tried to get it a little more, trying to get it more out to the masses. And I think, for me, my favorite track on that, of course, is It's My Life, because I played the guitar solo on that.
Great song, man. Wasn't there a video for that, too?
Yes,
That's right.
Yeah.
Now,
where Wendy went from the car to a plane.
That's right. As far as the Commander of Chaos album, which followed the Wow album, how come you weren't a part of that? Were you just taking a break?
Yeah. What happened was we were in rehearsal and pre-production writing songs for that in our rehearsal loft in downtown Manhattan, and Wendy went to St. Louis to be in the Rocky Horror show, and she was doing that, and we were writing songs back in New York, and it was winter. The loft wasn't well heated, so it was really cold, and I was going through some personal things, and it was just getting really burnt out from everything. So I just had to take a break, and I left the band, and that's when I moved out to Detroit. So when I left, they carried on as a three-piece band. They didn't replace me. And I went back to work on the album and worked as associate producer.
That's right.
Gene Simmons was going to come in and produce it after the Wow album, but due to time constraints, and he was busy doing other things, he couldn't do it. But he came in to a pre-production and listened to some of the new songs, and he heard the song called Party, and he says, I like that song, I think I'll use it. And that ended up being Love's a Deadly Weapon on Asylum.
Okay.
So Rod and I actually got songwriting credits on that song.
And hopefully residuals.
Oh, yeah, still get a little bit, not much these days, but still get something from that song. Actually made more money from that song than all my other Plasmatic songs, because, Plasmatics never really got much airplay.
Yeah.
Didn't sell a ton of records, so.
Boy, they were sure good, though, man. People missed out, I tell you, if they didn't get those Plasmatics records.
Yeah, but they're still available at plasmatics.com. There's a shameless plug.
No problem, my brother. If you're interested in looking up West Beach or Plasmatics, that's where you go, plasmatics.com. We're talking to West Beach at KSKQ Radio and the Church of Rock. Sister Tracy, do you have anything before we let West Beach go for this time that you'd like to add?
Well, not really. I just wanted to tell him how much we've just continued to enjoy your music throughout, the last 30 years or so, and we just really appreciate you staying in touch and remaining a friend and coming on the Church of Rock, and we hope to have you on again soon.
Oh, anytime, and thank you. I appreciate that. I always like hearing from the fans, and I'm glad that the music's still out there, and Wendy's memory's still out there, and I can just only imagine what she would be like today if she was here.
Yeah, me too.
Well, could we ask you to come back on down the road again, Wes?
Oh, absolutely. I'd be glad to. I love talking to the Church of Rock.
Nice. And for those folks that don't know, many years ago, Wes had written a song for the Plasmatics that wasn't used, and he ended up giving it to me, which I wrote lyrics and a title for, and you can find that on YouTube under the name Rock and Roll Scallywag.
I love that song.
You love that song?
Yeah, I do. I love that song.
Real quickly.
Thanks. Actually, that song predates the Plasmatics. I was in a band I was in called The Accidents, which was a pre-Plasmatics band, and I took that to the Plasmatics, but they thought it was a little too poppy, I think, for the band, and I brought another song called Autopsy to the band, and that became Monkey Suit.
Nice. Now we have the official story on tape. That's
right.
Yeah, thanks for clearing that up, man. So check it out, folks. There's an actual music video on YouTube called Rock and Roll Scallywag, and Wes isn't playing on it, but he wrote the music. Wes, thanks again, man, and I hate to let you go because I have so many questions for you, but I definitely, maybe in the next 6 months, we'll hit you up and try to get you back on again.
Oh, absolutely. I love talking to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time, my bro. And Tracy, thanks for your input.
Thanks so much, Wes, and we hope to talk to you soon. You stay well.
All right. Keep rocking and stay safe.
You too, brother. We're going to play a tune from your Beyond the Valley of 1984 album. It's called Headbanger. Do you have any words before we let you go about the song?
No, that was a song that was real cool. We did that on Tom Snyder's show, actually, and he introduced it incorrectly as Head Ranger.
That's
so
right.
If you ever see that clip, that's pretty funny.
I remember that. Mm-hmm. Boy, you guys played that show, I think, a couple times.
We did, and that was kind of wild because we were on the stage, and then right in front of us was Tom Snyder sitting in a chair, and then behind him was the audience, so that was a little disconcerting.
I remember when the ceiling started caving in when you were blowing stuff up.
Oh, yeah. And another interesting thing is we taped that show in the afternoon, and the news was right underneath us, and there's some smoke from the show went down into the newsroom while they were doing the 6 o'clock news.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how they explain that on the air live. Damn you, WES Beach.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, man. We're going to play your tune, and you have a great rest of the night, and stay safe, my brother, and rock on.
All right. You do the same. Thanks.
Thanks, Wes.